how she get it. Made a couple racks, I never asked her how she get it. City girls love to have fun in the city. City girls love to have fun in the city. City girls love to have fun in the city. City girls love to have fun in the city.
Welcome to Connect with Christina. Say hello to my awesome guest, Dr. Carmichael.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Christina?
Thank you for spending your Saturday with me.
It's a privilege to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
And thank you for bringing your awesome, beautiful wife in the back.
Well, I'm half a man without her, so I had to bring her. She's my confidence piece.
Before I get lost, because I haven't seen you in so long, can you let everyone know about your dentistry first?
Yeah, so I'm a pediatric dentist. I founded Sun Valley
awesome one.
Pediatric Dentistry. Thank you very much. We started in 2009, and we've been rocking and rolling ever since. We have 3 office locations: Gilbert, Mesa, Avondale. And
You have Gilbert and Mesa. I'm just finding things out now. Wait, talk cross streets, like where?
cross streets. So Gilbert, or Pecos and Higley.
Okay.
In Mesa, we're off Higley and Southern. We like Higley, I guess.
Yeah, I think so.
And then in Avondale, we're 107th and McDowell.
Okay. Nice. And do you travel all 3 of those?
I typically try not to,
Okay.
especially with the way the traffic is in the valley, right?
Mini,
it's getting better all the time,
Mini California over here.
definitely. But there, once or twice a month, I'm in Mesa.
Well, I mean, I assume you have your duplicates of yourself everywhere.
That's right.
Of
Just
like,
create clones of myself.
Yeah.
In fact, if you could see one of the doctors that works there, he looks, acts, and is just about my clone.
What's his name?
Robert Balsmeyer.
Okay.
Dr. Balsmeyer. So the patients will come in and they'll say, hey, we have a question for the doctor we saw. And the staff will ask, well, who did you see? And they'll say, well, we saw the bald dentist. It's always the bald guy. We saw the bald guy. And they're like, which bald guy? Like the one with blue eyes. Like, which one with blue eyes? Well, the one with blue eyes and a beard. Like, they both have blue eyes and a beard. So it's kind of funny.
Even he's like spitting all these hard names. What's his name? I can't talk.
Balsmeyer.
Okay, so you just call him Dr. B?
Dr. B.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out Dr. B.
Or Ballsy.
Talking about shout outs, though, we have to shout out Nick.
Knudsen?
Yes.
Yes. That's how we met.
Yeah, that is how we met.
One fateful day in December.
And I've avoided them since too, because remember, I try to avoid people I like until the podcast, so I can ask them the questions. And I'm a bad liar, so it's all over my face. So I'm gonna start asking you real questions now.
Oh, no.
First of all, why do you have such a cheerful disposition? You're always smiling, always happy. There's a reason. So what is it?
It's a great question.
I know it is, right?
When when you initially asked that, the first thing that came into my head was fake it till you make it. I have been somebody who actually has struggled with confidence, self-assurance, and anxiety my entire life. And so I didn't like that about myself. And so in high school, the transition between grade school and high school, I thought, this is a time of change and a time when I can actually kind of take control of what I want. So I want to be confident. So I'm going to start acting confident. And I want to be self-assured. So I'm going to start acting that way. And I don't want to have anxiety anymore. So I'm going to pretend like I don't, even though I did, and there were days, there's still days I don't want to get out of bed, right? But that's not how I want my life to be defined. I want my life to be defined by what I do and how I contribute back to society.
That is so powerful, and I promise you, we are this is something I say at the podcast all the time. If we can help one person, we're good. Like, this was worth the Saturday that we're spending together, because people struggle with that. Our last episode that we just dropped, which was with my friend Jordan. He was an ex-basketball player, and he had to deal with anxiety. And so my producer, Justin, is awesome. Tell us the title. Shout it out. What was it? Professional basketball.
Pro basketball player dunks anxiety.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. It's so real. And then it's funny that you said fake it till you make it, because that has a bad and good, but you just turn it into a good thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that's true. And at that point, was that like, did you say middle school to high school?
Yes, the transition from middle school to high school.
And then, I mean, did you see it actually work when you started to like say to yourself, like, that's the way you're gonna like try to kind of get better?
I would say yes, because anytime somebody would ask me about that, they would either, they'd come up and say, well, you're super confident. What, can you do this? Can you present this to the class for us? Or can you do this? And I'm thinking, man, I'm just faking it. But, all of a sudden you realize you're stepping into that persona and you're becoming what you've wanted to manifest.
I like
your
that.
future.
And, I had mentioned to you, like having people here on the show, of course I want to take the time to highlight everyone, but I love being able to talk about their story and how they got to where they are now. So I'm so happy you shared that, because people struggle with that all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I was always the sweaty armpit guy. I would be terrified to go to dances because, what if you throw your hands up in the air and all of a sudden you're like, oh, this.
Wait, hold on. I got a question. I have lots of questions.
Here we go.
So when did you meet your beautiful wife then?
I met my beautiful wife when I was 5 years old.
Do tell.
And she was 3. We were at church, and our families have known each other for generations, really. And so we were at church, and they moved into our congregation when I was 5 and she was 3. And, the way she held her sippy cup was just irresistible. and it was love ever since. Not really. She,
with the pinkies up.
My earliest memory of her really was, I used to take piano lessons from her grandma. And she would be the lesson before me. And so sometimes my sister would go first and then I would go. And while we were waiting for my sister, I remember one day we were coloring. I think we were 9 or 10, something like that. And I just remember her telling me that I was coloring wrong. I think she'll deny that story if you ask her. But that's my earliest memory of her. And then she came back from California one time. She was 14. And she had this amazing tan. And that was when she first really caught my eye. And I thought, wow.
How old was she then?
Goodness.
Not 5.
Well, I think she would have been 14. Huh?
Okay.
You were 16.
So were you like separated at some point, or were you like always seeing each other, like because you're in, family, you go to the same church, or was there every time you didn't see her for like a couple years and then you saw her again?
Well, so we went to the same high school.
Okay.
We really did not date much. We did a little bit. When I was a senior and she was a junior, she pretended she needed help in math. And so I would tutor her at my house. And I think it was really just kind of a ploy to spend time together because I would teach her and tutor her and she would get it.
Take notes.
But then, she's like, I need help. And I was happy to be there to help.
Who made the first move?
Who made the first move? I don't know.
It's just it's just so mutual, I think.
Meredith was somebody I always watched in high school, and she was always somebody that stuck out because she wasn't the popular girl. She was obviously really cute and hot, but she wasn't the popular girl, and she wasn't somebody who was willing to compromise the core of her beliefs to gain popularity. And she also had a lot of younger brothers and sisters, and her youngest sister has some significant healthcare needs. And so as watching her grow up, I just always thought she's going to be a wonderful mother, a wonderful wife, and she's somebody that stays true to who she is. I want to marry somebody like her someday.
Manifest it, guys.
Right. Exactly. That's kind of a theme of our life, manifesting, which we didn't realize until recently. But yeah, I said, I want to marry somebody like her. I just figured, by the time, we grew up Mormon. So I figured by the time I got back from my mission, she would be married because we get married young. Right. So when I got
But she wasn't.
When I got off the plane, she was the first person I saw.
I wonder, she was waiting. And now how many beautiful babies do you have?
We have 7. We have 7 beautiful children.
17 or 7?
Yeah,
7.
7.
Congratulations, you guys. That's awesome.
I always say it's more congratulations to her than me because if it was up to me, we would not have 7 beautiful children. But
what are their ages? I'm curious.
So our oldest.
Because you look great, Meredith. You look amazing.
I almost feel like we should have her
I know.
Showcase,
She's like,
Our oldest is 18.
Okay.
And then
the baby.
The youngest is 3.
Wow.
We have 5 girls and 2 boys.
Yeah, I have 3 daughters. Yeah. And they grow up so fast too, It's crazy. Being a dentist, are you their dentist?
Yes.
How does that work?
It works pretty well. My kids, at first I was afraid to touch them because I didn't want to be the guy that hurt them, right? And but my oldest daughter, that's 18 currently, when she was 3, I was in residency, and we brought her into the office. She must have been 5. She was actually 5. And she had 3 cavities. And I just thought, oh no, I'm going to have to treat these. I'm going to have to give her a shot. And I just was kind of terrified by that. But then it helped me realize, like, the way I'm approaching the care of my daughter and the empathy I have for her and her discomfort is how I need to approach my total practice.
Right.
You know, I need to treat everybody like I want my daughter treated.
Right.
And it was really a cathartic experience. It was wonderful.
Well, and I still am scared of the dentist.
Right.
I mean, like I just start getting sweaty. My heart's racing. I give props to you, because it's not easy to deal with people like me who's nervous, you know. I mean, you do, or your patients are all children.
Yes.
Yeah.
You needed a good pediatric dentist.
Yeah. Well, I think we just found one. So, and I want to go back to the family. So that's seven babies. That's a lot. How do you balance it out?
How do we balance it out? She balances it out better than I do. She's a stay-at-home mom, but that's a job. It's a way fuller time job than I have.
Respect for sure.
You know, I used to think I'd go home for relaxation and that was my respite, but now I go to work for that. it's my escape out. But sometimes it's intense. It's kind of chaotic sometimes, but really,
all the beautiful memories.
No, there's beautiful time spent together. You know, and once we had 4 kids, the oldest, Macy, was able to start helping with the younger kids. And then Addison, slowly after that, was able to start helping as well.
Are we stopping at 7 or? Yes. Oh, okay.
I hope so.
I guess so. But I do want to also shout out stay-at-home moms, because I think people sometimes take that for granted or not realize, like, it is a full-time job, you know? Like, it's not easy, because it's literally, I think a lot of us don't realize it unless we're in that place. You know, you're cleaning, the laundry, the kids to school, picking them up. You know what I mean? So. And
then you have the demands of your husband.
Yeah,
right. No, realistically, you have to balance. You have to be a mom. You have to be a life coach. You have to be a wife, and a lot of things.
And then plus, like, what a blessing to have that quality time with the kids too. Right. You know. So did you guys go to school together, or how did that work? After the mission, we did.
So we got married pretty rapidly. I think within 21 days we were engaged after I got home from my mission, and then we were married in March after that. So I got home in November, so about 4 months later.
Hey, if you know, you know.
Right.
So, and it's been how long?
22 years.
Yeah, another congratulations.
Thank you.
So, Arizona, this is like a place you want to be forever. How did you choose Arizona? Were you already here?
So we're Arizona natives.
Okay.
We both grew up in Buckeye. We went to Buckeye High School. Our parents went to Buckeye High School. In fact, my dad had the same high school English teacher that I did.
Wow.
My dad was in his first class of teaching, and I was in his last. And we saw him 2 nights ago.
I wonder who her favorite was.
Yeah. So we went to high school together, and then we got back from mission. Yeah. And then we started going to college together. You know, I started at Glendale Community College, and then I went to Mesa, and then ASU, and then on to dental school at the University of Colorado. Meredith, while I was in school, I encouraged her to get as much schooling as she was willing to, but she had an ability to teach piano and help support us, our young family, and she did quite well with that. And so she made significantly more money teaching piano than she would have as a music education teacher.
So not only do we have a pediatric dentist, now we have access to a piano teacher, guys. Come on now.
I think Meredith's entered retirement for now.
I think she'll make exceptions.
Yeah.
I have a piano at my house.
We can let her decide.
I have a piano that doesn't get used.
Yeah.
I bought it when my 16-year-old at the time, Leilani, she was 16, she had a heartbreak. And I'm like, what do I do to make you feel better? Let me go buy you a piano. And so it just sits there. So if you want to come over and teach us, that'd be great.
We'll have to come play your piano at least.
Hey, you guys, 22 years is a long time. So, obviously, as you know, in Arizona, or I guess everywhere, there's a lot of divorce. I had that happen to me. What could you share with us about your story, things that you think have helped you guys make this last for 22 years? And I mean, because I see you guys, you were genuinely super happy and, just I don't know, I could see it whenever I'm around you guys. So what's the secret?
Thank you for saying that.
Other than Meredith's pretty.
Yeah, other than she's pretty. That helps though. I mean, you do need to be attracted to your spouse. I think that's one thing. You definitely need to be attracted to your spouse. But we started out, when I got home from my mission.
Yeah, and be okay with saying that. I love that because it's a fact.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
Because if you're not attracted, you're going to be attracted to somebody,
right?
It's important that you're attracted to your spouse. And it's important that you stay attractive for your spouse, and whatever that means. And I've tried to, I know I could do a little more work on that area, but I'm trying to be in better shape.
I don't know. She looks at you all sticky. So
she's pretty great like that. She's got a pretty thick set of rose-colored glasses, which I'm grateful for. When I got home and I just thought, well, okay, it's marriage time or it's whatever. Let's figure out what we're doing the next stage of our life. We're getting ready to go to school, and I might as well figure out this relationship's going to work. I grew up on a farm, so I got home the day before Thanksgiving. She came over for Thanksgiving. And then the next day I was on a tractor for 12 hours. I said, hey, do you want to come ride tractor with me? And so I think I was plowing that day, and she came and jumped in the tractor. And so while she was in there, I started asking questions. All right, how many kids do you want to have? How do you want to raise them? What do you, what's your philosophy on discipline? What's your philosophy on romance? I asked her all the questions I could think of. And because I really feel like the most important part of having a relationship that could last was having common goals for life and for your marriage, for your family. And I think that's one of the things that's really helped us stay together. It has not been, and for her, it's been harder for her than it has been for me, but we have had to, especially recently, work on our marriage.
Well, thank you for saying that and being honest, because I promise you, I think sometimes people think they're alone, and it's like, no, everyone goes through it. Like life, and I think it's important to hear from someone like you, to say that, because you have done really well for for yourself, and your family's great. But to sit here and be honest and open about, struggles that we all go through it, and you're still here now, and the fact that you have worked on it or continue, I feel like you continue to work on it, as someone that went through that. Right. My friend yesterday, she was helping me out. She's a teacher. And summertime, she's spending it with me to help me out, right? I need a little help right now with the office. So she's kind enough to help me and be my assistant for the summer. Anyway, so we were talking about that, and she was explaining, we all have our cups. So when you're a couple, of course your happiness has to come from yourself. That's your responsibility, But she was just explaining how you have to know each other's love languages, your triggers, and you fill each other's cup, Kevin's really good, my boyfriend, you know him. He doesn't let me stay mad. And I'm a stubborn person. So
come on.
He's so patient. You know what I mean?
You rarely get what you want, Christina. Come on, right? No, I like what you said on a couple of things. One, I wish Meredith and I would have gone. I wish we would have had the advice to get a marriage tune-up, get marriage counseling, 5 years in. Because there were issues that started creeping in that we both wanted to avoid contention, so we didn't bring them up. But it ultimately started driving us apart. I mean, we almost did not make it through our last child, and as a couple, and we've been in some dark places, and it's been tough. But we've had to seek out counseling and advice, and we have had to learn, like you just said, what your triggers are, what your love language is. Those aren't things we focused on in the beginning.
Yeah, because they're so different for each one. Right. I love touch. I love thoughtfulness.
Right.
Can I keep flowers alive? No, but I still like them, but not all girls are like that. Some girls, you know what I mean? So I just think you're even giving me an idea or not. Yeah, I can't talk today. I took a break from our podcast. So anyway, just being able to sit there and have a real, conversation, hey, sit down and actually have it before it's too late.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, and I agree. I love that you pointed out too. You mentioned happiness needs to come from yourself. I think a lot of times, and I don't know that I always thought that, and I think that caused some problems. I started to look outside our marriage for happiness, and in the wrong places, and because I was looking for somebody to make me happy because I wasn't happy, and as I lot of self-discovery, a lot of damage, and years later realized I need to make me happy. It's my responsibility. It's too much pressure to put on someone else to have them make you happy, right? It's up to you to be happy. And whatever you need to go through and unpack in your head to do that, it's important to do because your mental health starts to play a role in everything. It starts to affect every facet of your life. And if you're not happy, you can't be a good father. If you're unhappy with yourself, you can't you can't be a phenomenal professional. And it affects every facet of your life, including your close relationships.
Yeah. And I know, like I said, I'm sure more than one person that's going to be listening to this is going to, have some sort of positive, eye-opening experience from it, just from hearing it from, like I said, someone like you. I really think you're awesome. That's why I'm saying that.
Thank you.
So, I guess love wins though, because in the end, don't give up and seek help, right?
Yeah.
And then this is what happens.
Oh, don't be afraid to seek help. I wish that's one thing.
Don't be embarrassed.
Talking
either.
with Justin, about how I wanted to direct, my podcast. There's mental health is such a stigmatized thing in our society. Physical health is very emphasized. You need to have a gym membership and you need to run every day or what, you need to have your routines and eat properly and be healthy. But nobody talks about mental health. How do we have good mental health?
And I think that even for this show too, honestly, like I was telling you earlier, I stopped caring so much about, I was worried because I hate the camera. That's why the setup is like this, right? But I thought to myself, gosh, this is a good way to help other people out.
Right.
Not only to recognize and highlight people that we come across in life that are really amazing people that we're lucky to meet, but also putting them on here and sharing their story, then they get to help someone else out. So for you, I don't know what you're going to title your podcast, but you should do it because I know I feel like we all have an obligation, to a certain point to pass on the blessings that we have. And I know that when you have it, I better be on the show too.
That sounds fantastic. Let's book it now.
There's just a lot of all the things that we talk about, people to think about it and or to themselves, and then they have no one to explore it with, or they're
This is his podcast.
Oh, nice. Oh, I like that. The value script. How did you come up with that?
Well, just between Justin and I talking, and we kind of.
Can you put it up here too?
The ideals of what we wanted to talk about. In trying to figure out, okay, what personal brand do I want to put out to the world? Because I feel like you said, not only do we have an obligation, but it's an opportunity to help others that have gone through or going through the same things that we go through. We can help them and help others by sharing our stories, right?
Yeah.
And or we can be selfish and not, but we can add a lot of value to people's lives as we share what's real and be authentic about it. And then not only, here's the crap, but here's how we get through it.
Right.
And
that's it.
Traction.
Here you are now, but how did you get here?
Right.
What's your story, And when are you going to start this?
Well, next week.
No, but I'm serious though. People sometimes they do feel alone. And that's what I try to do in the small ways that I can is hey, everyone goes through it. Life is hard enough as it is. So that's why we try to be nice to each other, right? You could, when we met that first time, you saw that whole long table. I can tell you each one of those people there had their own story behind their smile.
Absolutely.
That they're struggling with, but they're putting on the smile. So, even if the people that, after the podcast, really, each one, I'll have people commenting or a lot of it's private. They'll message me and hey, thank you for doing that. I didn't think about this. And hey, you had a single mom on there that really made me feel encouraged that, I'm going to make it, And so, we're not Oprah, obviously, but I just think that we do have the opportunity to make this impact on people.
Another driving force for me to want to do that is, as a dentist, mental health is unfortunately an occupational hazard and higher statistically than it should be for the average. And I have some personal...
I've never understood that either. Can you tell us why? I mean, I know it's a loaded question, but
I don't know if I really know necessarily why myself, other than success in a dental restoration is measured in 0.5 millimeter or less, and so you start applying that microscope to every part of your life, and it becomes really stressful. Not only that, but we're healthcare professionals, but then you have to deal with running a business, and then you have to deal with
you're outside,
the demands
your
of the public.
Yeah.
And just being a dentist is inherently stressful because, your standard for performance is tremendously high, and it's physically taxing on your body to do it, and it's mentally taxing. And I think too, sometimes we put a ton of effort into making an excellent result happen in your mouth. And then there's these people that no matter what you do, they're just not happy because they're not happy people. So they're not going to be happy with what you do.
Right.
And I think that plays into the role of the mental health. But I have, in the last 2 years, I have 3 friends that have attempted suicide, and 2 are successful. And
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. But that was my driving force. I can't just sit by and let my friends die.
Yeah.
I believe that there's something I can do to make an impact.
Right.
But I didn't want to just pigeonhole myself into the Dr. Lonny Dentist podcast.
Right.
Because I feel like there's other values and things we can talk about, like my marriage and our beautiful family and investing and whatever. There's a lot of wonderful things that we're involved in that we can share. And so I didn't want to just have the dentist podcast.
Right.
So that's why I came up with the value script.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I mean, even with your religion too, I have, I was raised Catholic, and then but moving to Arizona, I got to be friends with a lot of, LDS, Mormon people. You know what I mean? And like, that's a topic too, and how you're getting out of your mission and how all this stuff evolves, the part you play in the community, and I mean, I openly talk about it. I don't care what religion someone is. It's what you do, what you say when no one's looking. My friend Jordan, shout out Jordan. Whatever makes you be a better person.
Right.
So I guess as a whole, before, I know Justin always gives me the time slot. So before we end the podcast today, in general, post-COVID and everything, like, do you have any life advice that you learned yourself that you want to share with other people? Any specific people you want to shout out today too? We like shout outs at this podcast. I think I need to copy Eric and Noe and have a bowl and start, putting dollars in there for every time I shout out people. Anyway.
Great. So, I wasn't prepared for that question. COVID was an interesting time.
By the way, guys, you heard that. He's not prepared. That's true. Because he asked me, he's like, what are we going to talk about? I'm like, nope, we're going to figure it out when we're here.
It's like, I want it raw. That was the quote.
Yeah.
So, coming out of COVID, March last year, I think, like many people, we were wondering if we were going to go bankrupt. And it was a stressful time. And we were all wondering who's going to die, how many people, how bad is it going to be? Fast forward to a year, and it's quite a different landscape. And we came through it very well. Our offices came through it well. We were tremendously blessed, and we were one of those essential services. But even with that, the governor severely restricted our ability to practice dentistry because they were worried about medical supplies and things like that. But May 4th, we opened back up full speed ahead, and we've been going strong ever since, and it's been good. From a professional standpoint that way. I think one of the main takeaways is, and one of the things I've learned, and I can highlight this with this last story about my wife. We learned about the power of manifesting, and it's kind of the fake it till you make it, like I talked about in the beginning, but it's more powerful than that. It's like, okay, feel the gratitude for where you want to be in the future. Like, don't just dream about what you want to have in the future, but actually feel the gratitude for having already obtained those amazing goals, and feel that now and go forward and get that. And there was a home we went through back in 2010, back during the the housing crisis and the depression, things like that. And we had a friend that was a home builder. He wanted us to have him build a home for us. And so he was like, hey, I'm building this home just down the street from your guys' house. Come walk through it, and you can see how I do things. And it was a beautiful home. And he was a phenomenal home builder. Alex Carroll. We can shout out Alex Carroll, right? There we go.
Can.
Alex
Hi,
Carroll.
Alex.
And he built this home. And right when it was finished, we went through it one more time. And my wife said when we were leaving that home, she says, hey, when that house goes on the market, I want you to buy it for me. I thought, I hope I can someday, right? and because it's
I
beautiful.
can't wait to see this
It's
house.
it's a beautiful home. And so every day though, she would drive by it and she would tell the kids, someday I'm going to live in that house.
I love that.
And someday that house is going to be ours, and we're going to be able to live there, and we're going to be able to, raise our family there. And she would manifest this I wasn't even thinking about it. It was totally off the radar. Well, January, we were at dinner when this house came on the market.
Right.
And we got a
we were at
text.
Bianco.
Pizzeria Bianco.
Yeah.
In Phoenix. And we got a text from our friend said, look what house just dropped on the market. We were there 2 days later with Stacy Cruz and Jessica Sparks, the realtors. We were just talking about Stacy. Unfortunately, just broke her tailbone. But that's the Stacy. And we went through the home. We had it under contract 2 days later, and in 26 days, we were, from walking to the home to buying it, we were able to pull it off. And I really attribute that to Meredith manifested that in our lives, and she saw something, she felt grateful for it, and she went after it. And
Sunday fun day.
So come on over.
And then a shout out to anyone specific in your life that you feel like inspired you the most.
Goodness.
I mean, there's one obvious, I know, and you can
my
also feel free to,
Meredith is an inspiration to me. She's a warrior. I've put her through hell the last couple of years. I've been hard to live with. I've made some hard choices for her to deal with and adapt. But and there's a point at one time when I asked her, "What do you want to do? Do you want to keep going, or should we end this?" And out of pure love for me, for our family, and for the good that she saw that could come, she's chosen to fight for us. And honestly, that's why we're still together.
I'm so thankful you guys came out on here today, really, for being so honest and open, and just know you're gonna help a lot of people, because my podcast, my little tiny show, I'm just a little native in Arizona out here, but they watch, and I know you guys are gonna reach couples out there that are struggling right now. So don't give up,
that's
guys.
Great. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And stay in the fight. It's worth it, right? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Thank you for watching with Dr. Carmichael. Thank you for being at Connect with Christina, aka
The Clout God, AZ.
Damn, you killed that.
Thanks, girl.
Brand new biz, never asked her how she get it.